particular
You're making the case for the Danish system. I'm just telling you that there's an arm of the Danish system which is it your aim to create a hostile environment for asylum seekers here?
No, my aim is to deal with illegal migration, to stop this being an issue that is dividing our country and that is causing huge pressure across our communities. And I want to do that by reducing the number of arrivals that come across boats across the Channel into our country. And that is why we are changing that generations-old assumption of permanent status.
But they will still have a pretty high
status.
chance of not being caught. Right now, the chances are sort of 1 in 30 are being returned. You might cut it to, I don't know, 1 in 15, but it still means 14 people out of 15 are still going to be stuck.
No, I reject that. I think that we can make these changes to reduce the number of arrivals coming into this country illegally and crossing the Channel. We're also going to be increasing the removals of people who have no right to be in our country. And alongside that, we will be creating new, safe, legal routes. They'll start modest to begin with, but as we get order and control into our system, they will grow in generosity. And I'm sending a clear signal to people is, do not get on a boat. Do not seek to come into this country illegally. That pathway is much more difficult. If you are someone we brought over legally on a safe and legal route, that journey to settlement will be easier because we want to incentivise the behaviour we want to see and disincentivise and prevent the behaviour that is drawing people dangerously across the Channel.
You talked about the pull factors. Asylum seekers come to Britain rather than, say, France. Partly, in fact, this is the principal reason the research that I've seen shows that we have several large minority communities into which they can fit, frankly, in which they can disappear. The Danes have a very hardline approach on this. They restrict asylum seekers' access to public housing in named areas where there are more than 30% of ethnic minorities, low levels of education, low incomes. And right now, they've got 63 such named areas. And they say that's actually critical to reducing the demand. Why aren't you talking about that approach?
Well, look, firstly, we're not going to be starting to dictate where people live based on percentages. That's not the sort of country that we are. And I don't think that ultimately in a country like ours, which is a very successful, generally speaking, very tolerant, multi-ethnic, multi-faith democracy, I don't think the test of integration here is whether you have a mix of coloured faces on a particular street or in a particular area.
You're making the case for the Danish system. I'm just telling you that there's an arm of the Danish system which is essential, and you're not adopting that.
No, I'm telling you that that's not something that I think translates into our country, and that's not something that we are going to be pursuing. But I also don't think that that's the sort of thing that we need in order to make our immigration system work in this country.